or pets are permitted in the program.
Good morning, everyone, and I want to welcome everyone to our October meeting of the Community and Cultural Investment Subcommittee. This subcommittee focuses on our city's efforts around sustainability and recycling, our neighborhoods, parks, arts, libraries, education, and Head Start and homelessness. I would like to call this meeting to order. Today's date is October 5th, 2022, and the time is 10:04 a.m. We will start today's meeting with a call to the public. First, I would like to have a representative from the Law Department read a brief statement on the public comment section of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. During the call to the public, members of the public may address the subcommittee for up to 3 minutes on issues of interest or concern to them. The Arizona Open Meeting Law permits the subcommittee members to listen to the comments but prohibits members from discussing or acting on the matters presented. With respect to comments on agenda items, members of the public may speak for up to 2 minutes to comment on agenda items to be discussed. Comments must be related to the agenda item and the action being considered by the subcommittee. The subcommittee and staff cannot discuss or comment on matters related to pending claims or litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will turn to staff. Anyone for public comment?
Madam Chair, if you'd like to introduce the interpreter as well.
Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, and now, can we have our interpreter please introduce themselves?
Good morning. This is Carmen Cota. I will be providing interpreting services for our Spanish-speaking audience today. Let me introduce myself to the Spanish-speaking public. Buenos días, me llamo Carmen Cota. Voy a proporcionarles servicio de interpretación hoy, esta mañana. Por favor, les pido que hablen con claridad y pausen para darme la oportunidad de interpretarles de la mejor manera posible. Gracias. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you for your services. Okay, and with that, we have no one in public comment. We will come back at the end of the meeting to see if anyone has joined us. And with that, we will move to approve the minutes of our September meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 7, 2022?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor,
Second.
please say, thank you, Councilwoman. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. Now we will move to the consent items on our agenda, item 2 and 3. These items are the 2023-24 Community Development Block Grant Public Service and Public Facility Notice of Funding Opportunity. Number 3, the 2023-24 Housing and Urban Development Consolidated Plan Annual Action Plan Process. Do I have a motion to approve consent items 2 and 3?
Move to approve.
So moved.
Are you
Sorry.
okay seconding, Councilwoman Stark?
Yes, second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we have items 4 through 6 for information only. These items are the Head Start Birth to 5 monthly report, August 2022, Phoenix Public Library Summer Reading 2022 results, update on drought management strategy, and conservation messaging. Would any of my colleagues like to hear any information on these items?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we will now move to items 7 through 9, which are for information and discussion. Item 7 is the solid waste contained collection citywide reroute update. And we will begin with a presentation from Deputy City Manager Karen Peters in the Public Works Department.
And Karen is hustling to the dais.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm happy to be here to introduce this item. With us today, on the far left, Public Works Director Joe Giudice. To his right, Deputy Director Lori Zelda Stoller, and Assistant Public Works Director Felipe Moreno, and we will be talking about the reroute regarding recycling and solid waste collections. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. We're here to provide an update on our citywide reroute of contained collection. So we are in our first week of go live. If you remember back in June or July, we came back and provided the plan for our citywide reroute. So we are in our first week, and so far we're happy to report we are moving along. We are working to ensure that we're being responsive to any missed collections or any late putouts, and just continuing to just work through the week. But everything has gone as planned as of now. So we'll provide an update on basically our outreach efforts, the attention we got through our outreach efforts, as well as our plan going forward. So we are impacting about 80% of the customers, as we mentioned, and there is no impact to our household hazardous waste program. So this was just our contained curbside collection and alley collection. Quarterly bulk trash is continuing to be quarterly. However, I want to take the opportunity to address that we are behind, as you all know, several weeks. We are working through those challenges, onboarding staff, ensuring that we can communicate out to our customers the changes and the challenges, and then being responsive to any escalated calls as they come in. One of the things we have done is to update our bulk trash schedule to allow for the delay for 2022 and then going into the next year, just so people understand when to place out on a new revised schedule so that we don't compound the problem. It allows us to catch up, and we can continue to provide scheduled service moving forward. So we're looking to be caught up in November. November 21st is our target date to be back on our normally regular schedule. So we have communicated that out to the residents. We've sent out a revised calendar, and we are going to continue to push forward to get caught up in that area. In terms of customer outreach for the revised or for our contained recycle and refuse and green organics collection, we've done a robust community program to make sure our residents were aware of the upcoming change. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Lori Zelda, who will kind of go over what we did and what the results were in that.
Good morning, Madam Chair and subcommittee members. As we mentioned in our June 1st briefing, we did outline a robust communication plan to all of our residents and customers. That communication plan was both in English and Spanish, as many of our customers are Spanish speaking. To recap what we did to ensure that all of our customers knew of these day of collection changes were individual notifications mailed, the postcard, there's a picture on the screen right now. These postcards were mailed the first week of September to all of our residents, whether they had a change or not. It was just a time to remind our residents of their new day of collection or their day of collection in general. September 8th, we did sponsor a media day event at our 27th Avenue transfer station. That media day was a hit. We had quite an attendance from several media outlets, including Univision, Telemundo, Channel 12, KTAR. That story was picked up in several news feeds and really helped us promote the day of collection changes. Several articles were run in Spanish-speaking newspapers such as La Prensa Hispana. They ran a few articles in there, which was really helpful for our customers. As well, during the week of September, actually on September 20th, our field staff conducted walk-in talks for customers that don't have same-day collection. So we do have a few customers that are not same-day collection, so we made it an extra effort to knock on their door and tell them that what their new days of collection would be, because they have multiple days of collection. In addition to the postcards, we did a lot with our social media postings, billboards downtown, the electronic billboards, as well as our city services bills. Those bills included information about our day of collection changes, and our website has been updated to reflect all those changes, including our phone system. The phone system has an automated system where customers can get their information via an automated recording. So all of that was updated. And with that, we can take any questions if you have any.
Any questions, comments from my colleagues? Councilmember Garcia?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Back to the bulk trash. Just wondering if there's any plan, because obviously we couldn't plan for the storms. And so what we saw in the last couple of weeks is a lot of bulk trash that was sitting out there got spread out. And so wondering if there's obviously recommendations or any teams or anything we can do to support a lot of the trash that just kind of went everywhere.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Councilmember Garcia. We are looking to be responsive to those areas that were hit hard and things were blown around. So we have specialists driving the areas to identify kind of the worst of the worst and triaging those and pulling crews to make sure that we can at least take care of the areas that are impeding, that are just a mess. There's no other way to put it. So we are looking to just take those case by case, and as we work through the schedule to get caught up, we're also ensuring that the areas that are worst hit, we are taking special precautions to take care of those quickly. So we have inspectors out looking at those areas and reporting back and then responding as needed to make sure we're getting those first.
I just have a follow-up question to that. Obviously, the same issues are out in District 5 because a lot of the trash has been out now for about 2 weeks, and if you drive down a lot of these streets, we've already heard of many flat tires. We've already heard of a lot of these issues happening, and I get it that you're sending specialists out to look at these areas, but given our issues with hiring and our issues with having enough manpower out there, what's the plan then to really try to mitigate some of these situations? Because I get it, the storms, we didn't ask for the storms, but now we have, I can tell you, we have a big problems, and from what I've heard, we're not going to be picking up the trash for another at least 30 days. So what are some remedies that we can actually take in terms of being able to pick up some of this trash?
Madam Chair, we are looking to regroup in terms of once we kind of see what the magnitude is out there in the areas that are worst hit, we are looking to figure out how we can restructure some of our teams to focus them on areas in parallel with our normal schedule. We've also been working collaboratively with our sister departments where possible to see where we can get assistance. So we are right now just gathering that information, and we are looking to, again, just ensure that we're triaging. We're also looking to take measures to onboard staff quickly. We're making some headway there. We have about 22 staff in the onboarding process that we're looking to bring on. As soon as they're on board, it's going to be about a week, and then they're going to be out focused on bulk trash. So that will help add some much needed relief in that area as well.
And how are you picking the areas that you're looking at in terms of where, how do you decide where you send the specialists?
Madam Chair, basically anywhere that we've heard is we're getting a lot of those calls coming in, so we're trying to focus being responsive to the calls we're coming in. But we also have specialists in areas all throughout the city that as part of their day they're reporting in where they're seeing things the worst. In that instance, we're looking to make sure we're triaging. So if you have big piles that are just they're delayed and they're out, that's one thing, and we're focusing on moving through. But the areas where things have just blown into streets or become a hazard in other areas, those are the ones we're going to focus more on making sure we pull crews to take care of those situations.
Great. Well, you guys have big challenges in front of you, but thank you for all of your hard work.
Madam Chair, if I may, I just would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that our staff are really working hard, and they're putting in extra hours, they're working weekends, and I really am thankful to them. It's an amazing team because they know when they need to step up, they're stepping up. And it is the combination of shortages and the monsoon season that have hit at the same time. We have a plan to resolve it, and Felipe and his team this is their number one priority, and they're working hard on that. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge our staff who are out there each and every day, really busting it to get this problem taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Councilwoman Stark.
Yeah. I know they're severely short-staffed, but I do want to say I think they've done a remarkable amount of work, and they rolled out this change of days pretty well. I didn't get a lot of complaints, and that's a testament to the wonderful employees of Public Works. So I hope that we can resolve the hiring issues sooner than later, and I certainly hope that they look at compensation quicker than later, because we do need help. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. With that, any other questions, comments? So now we will move. Thank you so much for that presentation, and we will move to item 8, the Public Works Fleet Electrification Strategy. And once again, we will begin with our City Manager, Karen Peters, and Public Works Department and the Office of Sustainability.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm pleased to introduce the staff that will be reporting on this item, and very proud of the work that is happening. Again, Joe Giudice there on the far left, Public Works Director. To my immediate left, Assistant Public Works Director Felisa Washington-Smith, and then Keith Carbajal in the middle, who is our primary fleet executive. So I will turn it over to them.
Thank you, Karen. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. This is a really exciting time for us in Public Works when it comes to fleet services. We're going through an amazing, innovative transition period as we move from traditional internal combustion engines to zero emission alternatives, specifically electric vehicles, but other technologies as well. And I'm proud to say, our team embraces this, and we've been through this before, and are really looking forward to helping navigate the city effectively through a transition like this. These are really exciting times. This particular presentation, we wanted to, so there's the Transportation Electrification Action Plan that Mayor and Council authorized recently, and it's a really comprehensive plan and strategy for citywide efforts to address the path to electrification. One of the tenets of that is our own city fleet, and so this particular presentation is focused on the efforts that are underway and forthcoming as we plan the transition for our city's fleet. So that's the focus of this presentation. Before I turn it over to Felisa, I just would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to publicly acknowledge this is probably Felisa's last presentation. She is retiring. She's going to be joining the ranks of all those vacant positions that we have to fill. After 29 years of service to the community in multiple departments, most recently in our Public Works Department for a number of years, she has been a partner and a friend to me, and I will miss her. The city will miss her, but I wanted to wish her well. Also, worth noting that she recently presented, or will be, to other city employees as an owner of an electric vehicle on the experience of owning an electric vehicle and sharing with them her wisdom in that area. So no one better to speak on this topic today than Felisa. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Joe, for those kind words. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be before you today. And it's really my distinct pleasure to talk about the progress that we have made to support the fleet electrification program. So as Joe said, the Public Works Fleet Services Division consists primarily of 300 employees, which are our mechanics, our technicians, and our field staff. I can tell you we take pride in providing a high level of service to ensure that our vehicles are available to support our citywide customers. As you can imagine, some of our customers are solid waste, public safety, water services, and streets, to name a few. And these customers provide 24/7 operations across various shifts, this to maintain a very high level of service to our Phoenix residents. So what I wanted to do was just take a moment to just talk about our responsibilities. So we provide fleet maintenance services, we provide parts management, and we provide fuel distribution and storage. So as we're looking to transition the city to EVs, I think it's very important to sort of see the people who are going to make it happen. So if you could take a moment and look at the screen, you will see our fleet employees hard at work. We take pride being behind the scenes in spite of the large unit of fleet that we have. So there's a brief glimpse of the 7,800 units that we have to manage as we're transitioning the city to EVs. So as we talk about our sustainability strategy, it is very important to know that Public Works has had a sustainability strategy for fleet. It is important to help us to evaluate the operational needs of our customers and making sure that we are responsible with having assets to support them with citywide services. So our fleet sustainability strategy focuses on maintaining sustainable fleet and the efficient use of fleet to support our customers. For years now, we have been looking at the opportunity to right-size the fleet and put the right types of unit in operation for our customers. So as we're talking about our fleet strategy today, I just want to highlight two critical components that we believe are important. One of them are right-sizing initiatives. So you may not be aware, but each year, the Public Works Department oversees an annual underutilized vehicle process. And what this is designed to do is to look at low mileage fleet and to evaluate, does it make sense to reassign them to other business areas or to retire them from the fleet. But right sizing is something we believe is significantly important as we're looking to transition to EVs. Also, we will continue to maintain the use of alternative fuels. As it will take time to transition fleet, we want to lead by example with clean fuel initiatives. So we're here today to talk about how do we learn from this? How do we grow? So I think we can reflect on success that we have maintained over the years for our alternative fuel program. So as we look into lead the transition, we think we will learn best by what we've done well. So I'm proud to say that we have over 3,000 alternative fuel vehicles in our fleet, and we're one of the largest municipalities with this type of vehicles. Also, as far back as the 1990s, we were focused on vehicle conversions. So to lead by example, solid waste converted unleaded and diesel type units, those old fossil fuel units, to compressed natural gas. So we believe this investment in compressed natural gas will help us. So today we're very proud to say that 73% of our fleet uses alternative fuel. So as we're looking to lead the city, we take this very seriously, and we're very committed to learn as we move forward. So we're proud to share that we have been recognized on a local and a national level for our green fleet. And more specifically, we're one of those top 25 cities for large municipal fleet, and we've been recognized for our sustainable business practices. So we're hoping that these examples will help us to continue to lead with excellence. So now what I'm going to do is turn it over to my guru, Mr. Keith Carbajal, who is the Fleet Services Deputy Director.
Madam Chair, subcommittee members. The Public Works Department currently manages 7,800 pieces of equipment. In those 7,800, there's 2,500 medium and heavy duty classification of equipment. Some of the medium duty equipment are the 2-yard dump trucks, F550 service body utility trucks, as well as F550 aerial bucket trucks. On the heavy side, we have the fire apparatus such as pumpers and ladders, the solid waste collection vehicles, street sweepers, and landfill heavy equipment. Then we have the 3,600 light-duty vehicles, which consists of sedans and light-duty half-ton pickups. Those are what we're focusing on primarily initially here for the EV program. 1,700 of those units are currently meeting the criteria for the conversion, so we do have a good pool of vehicles that we can explore this conversion with. This chart represents the schedule we need to maintain to achieve our goal of 200 units by 2030. A minimum of 24 electric vehicles need to be purchased each year to achieve this goal, but we do see that on this chart we anticipate not only meeting but exceeding this goal as we learn more about the EV program, develop our infrastructure, and more medium and heavy duty pieces of equipment become available in the market. This slide represents several of the units that are currently in the market today. On the far right circled top right corner is a Nissan Leaf, and just below that is the Chevy Bolt, which we currently have in our fleet as we speak and in service being utilized by several departments. The top circled left corner is an F-150 Lightning half-ton pickup. We have several of those on order today, and we also expect those to be delivered by the end of the fiscal year. In the center squares, we also have 3 additional units, a Volkswagen, Hyundai, and Toyota EV model. Our current fleet status of electric vehicles consists of 18 units, 12 Chevy Bolts, 2 Nissan Leafs, and 4 Zero motorcycles. In addition to that, we have 16 more units on order as we speak today that we anticipate being delivered by the end of the fiscal year, which include the F-150 Lightning half-ton trucks, 1 Ford Mach-E sedan, 1 Chevy half-ton Silverado, and 2 solid waste collection vehicles, a side load and rear load vehicle for the solid waste collections. And as we all know, these electric vehicles will require charging. So we partnered with the Streets Department and utilized their qualified vendor selection process to identify Gannett Fleming as a consultant firm to conduct an analysis on 6 locations where we felt had a good supply of electric vehicle potential vehicles, half-ton pickups and sedans at those locations. So Gannett Fleming will be conducting this study and providing periodic updates as each site is completed. An overall finalized report is anticipated within a 12 to 18 month period. We will also be utilizing a phased-in approach to cover the management of design and construction costs as we develop the infrastructure and explore what we need to move forward and provide the electrical support to the EVs that we anticipate converting in the future.
So as Keith mentioned, we have some work to do as it relates to evaluating our facilities and making sure that we can have infrastructure in place. What I want to do is briefly talk about the procurement strategy and approach we are going to take to really hit the goals that are established in the TEEP plan. We are highly confident in our ability to accelerate the purchase of EVs, and we think that will be possible by taking a 2-pronged approach. One thing we will do is continue to use our existing contracts. These contracts have the ability to allow us to purchase EVs as Keith outlined. Also, we think there's a lot of value in continuing to expand our procurement capacity by leveraging current state contracts and also taking advantage of federal contracts. Actually, there is a planned use to use the Sourcewell contract. As many of you know, there are a lot of cool EV options in the market, and what that Sourcewell contract will allow us to do is to also procure and put some of those units in place. It is very important for us as a owning fleet department to be mindful of things that are happening in the local industry. So we're currently looking at legislation that pertains to infrastructure and legislation that pertain to EVs to see if there's any opportunities there. And then just in general, I think it's important to be aware our procurement strategy can be accomplished if we continue to partner with our citywide stakeholders, our vehicle manufacturers, and our utility partners. So another key area I want to highlight is funding. It is very important as we're looking to accelerate the purchase of EVs and address infrastructure needs. It is important that we identify additional funding sources to make this happen. I can tell you we're closely monitoring the bipartisan infrastructure law as well as the Inflation Reduction Act. And we think there are some opportunities there and hopeful we'll get some of those resources here on a local level. And at a minimum, I can tell you we will be actively pursuing grant opportunities that are available. Some other things that we're doing, thanks to your guidance with the establishment of the EV Ad Hoc Committee, we actually established an EV Steering Committee that consists of multiple citywide departments. And what we're doing there is we're having very strategic and healthy conversations about when their fossil fuel units are scheduled for replacement, how we can make EV the priority. So just know, behind the scenes, we're working with all of our customers to take advantage of the transition to move from fossil fuel to EVs. I wanted to highlight, we are working really closely with some of our enterprise departments. These departments, such as public transit, aviation, water streets, they often have access to additional resources and supplemental funding, so we're going to leverage those opportunities to put more supplemental units in our fleet. And then lastly, I just wanted to say how important it is to shake the bushes and rattle the trees. We're going to try to get money from all forces and all financial opportunities available. So I just wanted to say we have made some progress, but we definitely recognize there's more work to be done. I wanted to briefly highlight some of the things that we're working on now that we hope to accomplish by the end of the calendar year and the fiscal year. So thanks to your support and the approved funding for our position, we look to onboard our EV operation analyst before the end of the calendar year. Also, we're looking to implement an electric vehicle rideshare program. So if you want to come test out our vehicles, just come on down to the motor pool. We're going to introduce some of our new EV options in our motor pool downtown and our remote locations. We believe it's very important for employees in the workplace to get a firsthand experience of how they drive, how they perform. So we're going to highly encourage our employees to choose EV as the priority choice. Some other things that we're working on in this fiscal year is demonstrations, right? So as Keith mentioned, we can buy light-duty vehicles all day. The challenge is the medium and heavy-duty fleet. The technology is still in research and still needs to be developed. So some things we think we can do well is do pilot demonstrations. So for an example, solid waste is leading by example. We've ordered 2 refuse trucks, and we indeed intend to pilot those. Also, we're very pleased to share our local manufacturer, Cummins Engine, has reached out to us, and they're willing to allow Phoenix to be a test partner to explore hydrogen engine options. So just know, in addition to EVs, we're doing everything possible to explore alternative uses for vehicles. So that's sort of, at a glance, some of the things that we're doing in Public Works. We believe with your support and guidance, we will continue to make progress. And just know we will come back before you. This is not the end. So as significant progress is made, Public Works will be coming back to give subcommittee updates. So this concludes all of the things we prepared to discuss to you. I will turn it over to Joe Giudice, our talented director, to see if there's anything else he wants to add in closing.
I'd just say, way to go, Felisa, knock it out of the park on your last meeting, huh? Any questions we can answer for you?
Well, thank you for that presentation, and Felicia, good luck on your retirement. I'm wishing you the best. Comments, questions, Councilmember Garcia?
Yeah. Also, congratulating on your retirement, and thank you for your service. I had questions around the procurement of the vehicles, and obviously, I think, personally, I think, American-made vehicles and boosting our own economy is helpful. So just wondering how that works and how we choose where and how to buy.
For the most part, at this point, we purchase Ford and Chevy model vehicles. And It's interesting you asked that question because we were discussing that internally. We don't necessarily have a policy that directs that for our own purchases, but it has been a longstanding practice that has been our practice. And so that's something we're looking at, putting on pen to paper on that practice.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Felisa. I did not know that this was going to be your last meeting, and I'm very disappointed to hear that. There's going to be some very big shoes to fill, so I hope you have a plan for that, Joe. But I think, first and foremost, I'll say I think this section of the Transportation Electrification Action Plan is, in my view, one of the most important because obviously it's the one that we have full control over. And I think when, the section is called Leading by Example, and I definitely want to make sure that I think there's no reason why Phoenix shouldn't be the leader in Arizona, but also nationwide in terms of having the most EVs in our fleet and making that transition as fast as possible. So with that being said, I have some questions around our goals. So first we'll start with light duty because I know that's where we have actual specific numbers. You said 1,700 qualify for transition. Can you tell me a little bit more about over the next 10 years, given that we know that each vehicle has an average lifespan of 10 years, how many vehicles we need to be replacing within this within our fleet every single year between now and then?
I want to seek clarification. So do you mean as it relates to the plan or just in general?
In general.
Well, I'll have Keith speak to the actual specifics on the replacement. I do know in a current year, as it relates to light duty, we are targeting to do 54 light duty vehicles this year. But as Keith mentioned, our entire fleet consists of light, medium, and heavy. And we work with our departments to use replacement dollars that are available to make those conversions. I would have to defer to Keith on the specifics of the replacement schedule. So I will turn it over to Keith for more details on that.
Yeah, I'm going to just jump in real quick, and then I can turn it back to Keith. So what winds up happening, each department has a vehicle replacement budget, and we'll work closely with them to identify the primary targets. That replacement budget will cover their light, medium, and heavy-duty fleet needs. And it will fluctuate from year to year depending on, an example would be the fire department. So the fire department, right now, they are a little behind on replacements with regard to some of their heavy-duty fleet. And so more of their funding is being allocated towards addressing that in the current time. So, this year it's 50, next year could be 30, could be 60. It'll fluctuate in terms of how many light-duty fleet come up for replacement. Where our commitment is to have a policy essentially that electric vehicles are the expectation for replacement should funding be available, and that it would be an exception if a light-duty vehicle was replaced with something other than an electric option, which will help drive us beyond our 200 goal that's in the Climate Action Plan and the Transportation Electrification Action Plan by 2030.
Okay, that's great to hear because I think, first of all, great that you're expecting that we'll blow past it. I think for me, when I think of a goal, it shouldn't be a number that is easy to blow past. It should be a number that is as ambitious as possible. So I'm hoping in this next iteration of the climate plan, perhaps, if our goal right now is 200 by 2030, and I know that's about approximately 24 vehicles per year, if you're saying that we expect to replace 50 vehicles per year, and of course I'm sure there's in some cases we're planning to purchase new ones, I would recommend, I know that is something that you are already thinking about, but if we could agree that, it would be great to see those policies and procedures updated so that, unless there is a rare exception in which there's a department that for whatever reason cannot use it, any replacement vehicle in the light duty piece or a new vehicle that's being purchased will be electric or in whatever case maybe hybrid electric or whatnot. Is that something that you think is doable?
Yeah, Chairwoman, Councilwoman Ansari, absolutely, that is our path forward.
Okay.
We'll be working on that administrative update and ensuring that that's the priority focus is electric vehicles for light-duty replacement. Again, funding is a key priority for that, and we'll be working closely with our partners to ensure we can secure the necessary funding to do that.
Okay. And obviously, you know, I think what's been really exciting lately is how quickly the market's moving. Pretty much every major auto manufacturer, as you know, has announced phase-out dates for internal combustion engines, some by 2030, 2035. So I think, you know, within the next couple of years, we're going to see those prices decline significantly. And of course, as you know, the life cycle costs too. So I'm hopeful that we can find the funding to make sure that happens. I definitely don't want to see us purchasing any new vehicles without, you know, first and foremost looking at the electric option and making that a priority.
Madam
And then
Chair,
I'm wondering
could
about.
I just add to that? I'm so
Yes.
sorry. With respect to the Climate Action Plan update, as you know, I think we presented just last month about this, that we are going to be embarking on the update of the Climate Action Plan as indicated to you and the community. That's something we'll be updating every other year. And so the first step in that process is to reach out to departments and challenge departments on what the goals were in the previous plan and can they be updated. So this is one example of where that will happen. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add
Thank
that.
you. And then for medium and heavy duty, I know we don't seem to be at a place yet where we can have specific number targets for those replacements. But can you just talk a little bit more about when you think we'll get to that point? I'm also curious just how we're being proactive to, you know, talk to other cities to hear about maybe what companies they're using for medium and heavy duty replacements, how we're looking at federal funding. Obviously, you know, we just got the $16.3 million from the federal government for our buses, which is phenomenal. But how can we be more proactive there? Because again, with the technology moving so rapidly, I'm hoping that we can be at a point to actually set real measurable targets there as well.
I will take a crack at that, and then Keith or Felicia, feel free to add. So, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Ansari, we have some great opportunities because Phoenix is a large city, and we have great partnerships. I think Felicia highlighted the Cummins engine relationship that we have had. We have worked with them in the years past, for example, when they were developing their compressed natural gas near zero emission engine, they tested that out with Phoenix first. We're a great market for test vehicles because of the heat and the climate, for one, and we're a great partner. And so when it comes to medium and heavy duty, we've done, I think we're really experienced at this. We've done a lot of piloting when we were doing the transition from traditional diesel engine trucks like garbage trucks to compressed natural gas. We piloted liquefied natural gas, compressed natural gas, and hydraulic launch assist all at the same time. We ran some pilot programs, successfully measured which one was performing the best, and were able to undergo a significant transformation that required new fueling infrastructure, new equipment, et cetera. So I think we're really well positioned to do this effectively based on our past experiences, based on our relationships that we maintain in the market with these major manufacturers. And so I see some great opportunity to do that, and our transit department clearly is already advancing the ball down that path as well. And we're working in close partnership with the fire department, the police department, solid waste is in public works, so we get to twist their arm a little bit easier. The water department, aviation has been fantastic. I want to give a lot of credit to aviation. Chad is really put this as a priority, as have many of the departments. They know that this is a council priority. They are working in partnership with us, and I think we have some great opportunities to look at things. Street sweepers would be another example where, as different engine types, whether they wind up going with hydrogen or electric options, we can find and test. The key will be, I think, where we've found success in the past and where we've found failure in the past, we can learn from those experiences. So the successes in the past have been getting a few, testing them out, making sure they work right before we go jump in the pool too deep. Because we will find, as the example I provided when we tested out multiple types of replacements for diesel engine garbage trucks. We tested 3, and 2 of them were really pretty good failures. They did not complete the routes on time. It did not work well. And so we don't want to position any department in a place where the vehicle can't perform for them. And so we very much have learned from that experience, and that's a successful path forward. In terms of the question about when, you think a goal could be set, Cummins and a lot of the other manufacturers, this is a top priority of investment for them. The federal government has made investments even for private industry into developing this technology a priority in their funding legislation. And so we would anticipate over the next few years, while they continue to develop light-duty vehicle technologies and alternatives, there will also be significant progress in the heavy-duty and medium-duty equipment space, and we'll see hydrogen, electric, and other alternatives start to present themselves as really viable options. So things like transit testing out buses that they're going to be able to get some grants to do, and us testing out a few garbage trucks is going to be really critical. The one temporary caution I have is the lead time on getting vehicles right now is pretty lengthy. Ford F-150 Lightnings, they're telling us a year. The 2 refresh trucks we ordered is probably a year before we'll actually get delivery. So, you order them, and then you're waiting for a while till you get them, and then you want to try them out before you order your next batch. So a lot of information there. Hopefully that helped. Anything I didn't cover?
I just wanted to add that there's definitely a commitment from our public safety partners and the large operating departments. We understand the priority is moving to EV. I just wanted to reassure you they are really doing test demonstrations, looking at our other peer partners to see what they have learned from them. And so I just wanted to let you know we are having conversations with them, and we're hopeful that in the coming years that we'll have some opportunities with a medium and heavy type fleet to support them.
Great. And on that note, I know Los Angeles has, they received an electric fire truck a couple of months ago. One of the things we're hoping to do through the Public Safety and Justice Subcommittee is maybe organize a trip out there, will have had 6-7 months to be utilizing the truck, and it's downtown LA. So I think, again, working with other cities who are leading the way in this regard will be incredibly important, especially with the more challenging vehicles. And then my last question is around the workforce. I'm really glad that you started with that photo. There was actually a really interesting new piece in the Washington Post this week titled, "Want a Career Saving the Planet? Become an Electrician," which I thought was really, really amazing. So I'm just wondering how we are training our workers and our employees to be ready for this transition, what training may already be underway. Councilwoman Guardado and I worked on the Transportation Electrification Action Plan to make sure there was good training through our electricians union around this. So just wanted to learn more about what we're working on there.
Councilwoman Ansari, so when we procure vehicles and sign the contract with the manufacturers and vendors, we make sure that the training is included in the language of the contract. So anything that's coming out from manufacturers on the electric side should be included with training for our staff. We're also exploring anything local. Right now it's really tough to find somebody who's qualified to provide the training locally, but we do have our contract specialists reaching out with different manufacturers and vendors to see if there's training that we can fly actual participants in to train our staff, which we do for some of the heavy fleet. We have classes put together where we bring staff in there at 22nd Avenue where we're housed, and they provide training to multiple staff. So we're hopeful that as this grows and we identify more qualified trainers, that will bring them in-house to provide that training, but that is already included in the language of each contract with the manufacturers.
And if I might add, so this transition will cross 2 parts of Public Works, right? So our fleet technicians obviously will work on the vehicles themselves and need the training that Keith referenced with respect to how to repair and maintain electric motors and the batteries and those components, and work with the specialized vendors in that space, et cetera. But as you pointed out, electricians are a critical part of this as well, because as we add electric vehicle charging infrastructure, that infrastructure will need to be maintained as well. And so our electricians that work in a different part of our Public Works Department, our facilities operation, are going to be getting the EVSE, if I said that correctly, certification training, so that as we install and have that equipment in place, and I think that's the union package of certification and training that is kind of an industry best practice, and so that will be the path there. So we'll have electricians in our facility side that will take care of any of the electrical infrastructure, the charging infrastructure for fleet vehicles, and then the mechanics themselves that'll work on the units themselves. So it'll be a combination of different training depending on the skill set and the technician.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you again. I think it was either the last meeting or the meeting prior where we heard the update for our GHG emissions study, and we know that transportation continues to be a growing source of air pollution and greenhouse gas emissions here in Phoenix. So again, I am very, very eager to make sure that our goals are super ambitious when it comes to our own fleet and transitioning to clean electric vehicles, because it truly will save lives for us to improve our air quality here locally. So I appreciate your hard work in making this a priority and making sure that we are doing everything we can to be ahead of the curve, proactive, and really leading by example. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. I guess my questions is more about where we're at with this roadmap, and I don't know who it would be, the Inger or who. With the roadmap that we have, is it with current funding that's already allocated, or would we have to, I saw obviously we have a fundraising plan. So is this something we can do now, or are we having to fundraise or having to find this funding to be able to do what we have? And so asking that question to help think through, is there a gap we need to find now, or is this going to happen with where we are at?
Chairwoman and Councilman Garcia, members of the subcommittee, we do believe there are some things that we can accomplish fairly in quick order without the need for funding. So as we talked about some of the efforts with our citywide stakeholders and procurement, those types of things we have capacity to do right now. As it relates to some of the fleet, we believe we can still meet and achieve some of the goals because there are resources that are identified currently. We would just have to be strategic on how we find additional resources. I think we will be challenged when it relates to infrastructure. We have been very fortunate to receive some supplemental funding with the study that will allow us to do some of the sites. But when you think about the full breadth of facilities that we have across the city, that is a higher order of magnitude, which will require greater coordination. So the short answer is we can do some things now, but it will take some collaboration with budget and research, finance and our citywide customers, and taking advantage of grant opportunities as well to fully achieve the goals that are identified in a TEEP plan.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, I think it'd be important for us, and obviously you all are in this, but to understand, we obviously set aside monies for regular fleet replacement. So understanding what the gap is, EV versus non-EV, there is going to be really important for us just to, also keep that in mind, especially with our previous conversation that we know wages and making sure that the folks who are going to be driving these vehicles are staying with us and are getting paid what they should be paid. And so I think making sure we're able to have that balance and that understanding is going to be important as we move forward. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could add, I do want to make sure we give due credit to the EV Steering Committee that was referenced earlier. So Joe co-chairs the EV Steering Committee with our Chief Sustainability Officer, Mark Hartman, who is here behind me. And they are very actively strategizing with departments. The study that is underway will really guide our investments. Once we fully appreciate and understand the need and where to do that optimally, we will be working hard with the departments on the funding strategy, and we'll be absolutely back to share that with you because your leadership will be very instrumental in making sure that happens. But thank you. I just wanted to make sure Mark got got his credit, and Karen Apple, our electric vehicle program manager, who's doing terrific work to help coordinate that citywide.
Great, thank you. I just had some follow-up questions to what everyone else has already said. So just starting with the mechanics and the techs and the fleet staff, do we know more or less how many, besides what we already have, how many more workers we will need to be able to manage all of this work?
Chairwoman, it's going to be interesting during the transition period because we'll be both maintaining internal combustion engine vehicles and electric vehicles as they come into the fleet. And so they'll need the training and keep up on the training in both areas. That may be some additional expense, but we expect that electric vehicles will require less vehicle maintenance, and so we're not anticipating there would necessarily need to be more technicians in order to address that. However, as the city continues to grow and continues to add to its fleet, that's where it will be important that we would continue to work with those departments to add technicians as necessary to make sure we have adequate staffing to support their growing fleet. And
Yeah,
if
sorry, go ahead.
I just going to ask, did I capture that or?
No, you did. Probably the number one priority will be the safety of our technicians because of the voltage and the electrical current that is, comes along with these electric vehicles and the charging stations and infrastructure. But as Joe mentioned, we believe that the reduction in maintenance needs will compensate for any need for additional staff. We believe we should be okay until the size of the fleet begins to increase. Then we may need to reevaluate how many technicians per equipment we have in the fleet.
Right, I just want to make sure that we're able to keep up with that. As everyone here knows, right, that City of Phoenix is now being known for not having enough workers. So I just want to make sure that when it comes, when it comes to our technicians and it comes to our to our fleet staff, that at some point I want to make sure that we don't get to a point where we're thinking about subcontracting out because we need to get the work done. I just hoping that we keep that in mind as we're moving forward on that. And then following up also with the question earlier about American-made vehicles, right? Glad to hear that we are doing that. I would recommend that we try to figure out some sort of policy that we can put in place because, for us, I think American-made and made here in the United States is incredibly important that we can continue to promote that. And with that, I would ask that any solicitation we issue for electric vehicles specifically include a U.S. employment plan that commit vendors to create good jobs, invest in manufacturing in the U.S., and generate career pathways for people traditionally left out of the manufacturing sector, including women, people of color, veterans, and formerly incarcerated folks. I think that as we continue to grow into these great new positions and we are electrifying and we're being very innovative, we do the same thing as we create these jobs. We make sure that these are good jobs. And I think with that, are there any other questions or comments? Not hearing any. Well, thank you guys so much for a great presentation, and thank you for doing all the hard work that you guys do. Thank you. And with that, we are going to move to item 9, an aquatics update. We will begin with a presentation from Deputy City Manager Inger Erickson and the Parks Recreation Department.
And Madam Chair, as the Parks and Recreation team comes to the table, they're going to provide a report on what happened this year in 2022 in the aquatic season, and also what we're going to do to attempt to get all 29 pools open for the coming season in 2023. So with that, I'll turn it over to Cynthia Aguilar and her team.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. Inger stole my thunder and said what I was going to say. But yes, we are, in fact, I want to introduce my team. We have Assistant Director Tracy Hall, who oversees our aquatics program, and we have our aquatics supervisor, Becky Kirk, who has oversees our aquatics program directly and has done so for many years in the department. We had a great season in terms of once we got the 14 pools opened this year, and we've got a lot of information we're going to share on things we're doing to prepare for next summer as well, in hopes of getting all 29 pools open again. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tracy.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee. So I'm going to give a brief review of the 2022 season, what we would consider a success post-COVID. In that year, we did some innovative and new recruiting efforts for that season, which included creating an Instagram account for Phoenix lifeguards. What we found is that those possibly that would want to be a lifeguard fit in the range that would use Instagram more so than other social media. So we specifically targeted them. We also reduced our class rates from $85 to $20. And in addition to that, we had a Bring Your Buddy to Work Day. Along with that, we did continual high school outreach with the general schools. And then we also reached out to the dive and swim teams. And then we attended multiple community events. In addition to that, thank you to the council-approved incentive pay, we were able to pay $500 for a first check, and at the end of the season, $2,000 was paid to those who completed the season within good standing. So because of that, we had received over 400 more applicants than we had received in 2021, and 87% of eligible staff received the final payment of $2,000. In addition, in 2021, a negotiated contracts benefit was implemented for the 21 and 22 seasons as part of a pay ordinance. The non-continuous payment, August of 2022, our lifeguards received $150, and then in September, they received $200, and managers received $350. Also in July, all aquatic staff received a pay increase of 1.73%. And now I'll turn it over to Becky to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you for having us here this morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. So over the summer, we were able to open 14 of the 29 pools due to the number of staffing that we were able to recruit and hire. We hired 415 staff members to run those 14 pools, and we finished the season with 384 staff members. Over the summer, we saw over 220,000 people visit our facilities. 162,000 of them were through open swim, and another 64,000 participated through swimming lessons. As far as the swimming lessons go, we had 8,100 participants register and take swimming lessons, which was almost 100% completion rate or fill rate for our classes. It was 99.5%. And we had close to 3,500 people that were still on our wait list that were looking for swimming lessons this past summer. Moving forward into 2023, the priorities that we have set in front of us are to increase our swimming lesson, the availability to really tackle that wait list of the 3,500, to add in the water exercise programs for our adults as well as our swimming lessons for adults, and to bring back our swim teams and our dive teams, our recreation teams, with also adding more. This is something that we do year-round, and so currently we are working with our high schools, we are working with the swim teams and the dive teams that are currently utilizing our facilities, participating at their swim meets, so we're able to reach schools that don't even utilize our pools on a regular basis, but because they're visiting our pools, we then reach out to them. In addition, when we go to share with teens about the opportunities recruitment. So this is something that the Deer Valley Unified, Paradise Valley Unified, Phoenix Union, and Glendale Union. We are touching all of those high schools as well as some of our charter schools in these areas, community colleges, and the universities. Those visits will continue from November all the way through the end of March. And then beginning in January, we will start our water testing and our efforts to start rehiring staff. And by March, we will hire new staff. April, we will onboard them. In May, they start their training. So as far as the recruitment goes, we started over the summer. One of the biggest challenges, as we spoke in the spring, is our management team. And so we implemented this Aquatics Academy, which is something that we have done in the past, but we added to it. We gave a more substance of hands-on experience for individuals who want to become assistant managers at our swimming pools. So they were able to visit other pools that they don't necessarily work at, learn from our pool management team, our managers that are currently doing the job, as to what their job would be as an assistant manager. And we ended that with a 2-week boot camp to give them more of the understanding of the policies, procedures, and job duties that assistant managers would do. We had about 17 individuals that were interested and participated in that program over the summer. We also brought back this year our Lifeguard Academy and our Junior Lifeguard Program. Through our Lifeguard Academy, we're able to certify people that are at least 15 years or older. And through that, we were able to certify 26 of those individuals already in their certifications to prepare for this next season. We're currently, as I said, working with our swim teams, the high school swim teams that are utilizing our pools, doing the high school outreach, and the community colleges, universities will continue to do that throughout the spring, as well as reaching out to our current team that worked for us in 2022. This is an ongoing effort as we continue to gather information. When we go to these high schools, when we go to community events, we are collecting contact information for individuals that are interested in becoming lifeguards. We put them into an email group, and we're able to have constant contact with them. We track what they're doing. Have they applied? Have they taken their certification course? And so we curtail the email to identify what their next step is in the process, to encourage them each time we have a new class opening and to remind them what the deadlines are for the application process. Moving into what we're doing new this year, we're looking at our shallow water lifeguard certification. This is a modified certification of the regular lifeguard, basically the depth of which a lifeguard is certified. Our current lifeguard certification is certified at the depth of 12 feet plus. And what this will do will allow us to certify a shallow water lifeguard to the depths of 4 feet of water or less, which would help us in our facilities guard the waters that are less than 4 feet, the slides, the zero depth entries, the special use pools. So at this point, instead of turning people away who cannot get to the 13 feet, 12 feet of water, we can then certify them at the 4 feet. We are also looking at this proposed lifeguard recreation position. This is a more longer term item that we are looking at to encourage lifeguards to have the ability to work year-round in a part-time position in the Parks Department, where they could work either with PAC in the school year and aquatics in the summer. So that's something that we are looking into investigating, but will take a little bit longer in the process. And we're currently also working with HR to talk about address our compensation for the 2023 season. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and talk about our lifeguards and our certifications or experiences. So a lifeguard can come to us without any prior experience. A swim lesson instructor, we recommend a year's experience as a lifeguard before they start teaching swimming lessons. And then as far as managing our facilities, an assistant manager needs 2 years experience. And when this says years, understand that our summer is about 2 months long. And so we're really talking about months, not years, when it comes to experience. And so they have about 8 weeks experience. For 2 years, it would be about 16 weeks experience in that assistant manager position before we promote them up. As far as going into the manager position, we look for at least 3 years experience. The same holds true for that. When we talk about what the experience necessary, there's additional certifications needed for both assistant manager and for the pool manager, as they have to be able to teach the lifeguards and the swim lesson instructors how to become lifeguards and how to become swim lesson instructors. So they carry more certifications in those positions. So talking about our compensation and where we stand right now, the city of Phoenix currently is ranked 13th in the state of Arizona for payment for lifeguards. We are paying $14.26 an hour, and the top 5 cities are listed here on the slide as to where they are paying lifeguards. I will say that this is very recent as far as what these wages are at many of these cities. They were actually they raised these rates in response to the $2,500 incentive pay that the city of Phoenix approved in the spring. And so all of these rates were increased after that was approved with the city of Phoenix. As far as our pool manager pay, we are ranked number 10 in the state of Arizona, paying our pool managers at $19.06 an hour. Again, the top 5 cities are listed here, and again, these rates were also increased in the response to that $2,500 incentive. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn the presentation back over to Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy and Becky. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, moving forward, we will certainly keep you abreast of the ongoing success of our recruitment efforts. We typically know in February, March timeframe, based on how many staff we have interested, completed classes, or onboarding, how many pools we'll be able to open. But again, we'll keep you posted on that information. I do want to share a couple things. A big part of this is, as a next step, we're going to be working with HR to develop a recommendation on where the compensation or maybe incentives again should be. Once we work with them, we'll be taking that to the Human Resources Committee for their review and approval. Something that I know is a factor that will be factored into that discussion is how potentially raising these wages could cause equity concerns in terms of what other positions are being paid. And so all of that will be reviewed by the HR department in our final proposal on how we decide to move forward with these wages and compensation. With their approval, the next step after that would then be to come back to the full city council for approval on what that recommendation is. And it could look like wage increases. It could look like a stipend again. We were talking about data earlier today on what the stipend did for us, and particularly $2,000 of that $2,500 incentive came to those who finished with good standing with us at the end of the season. It was not just helpful to help recruit, but it was hugely successful in retaining them, we would say. Close to 90% of those individuals that were working for us stayed on through the end of the summer and received that $2,000 stipend at the end. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Comments, questions? Councilwoman Ansari?
Sure. Couple of questions. Well, first of all, thank you for your work on this. Cynthia, in regards to the salary increases, that's the question I had. Now that we have fallen behind again, both for lifeguards and for managers, do you think that, is this effort that you're undertaking going to be done in time for this upcoming aquatic season?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, that's an excellent question. Yeah, our goal is to try to get through this as quickly as we can before the end of the year so that we have more time than we did, earlier or this past season to be able to market that. When we factored in the stipend with our current wage, it got us closer to about $20 an hour. And so that's something we're going to go back and look at, but we're confident we can push through that this fall, come to the council with a recommendation, and then be able to market that appropriately in time.
Okay. And then how can we be better engaged with you in terms of when we get to the point of the decision-making around the pools? I know I heard a lot from my residents around University Park and that pool not being open this year. We had Roosevelt Pool closing. We had a big pool party there the last day, but that was still only end of July. So, 2 months left of heat in the summer. So would love to be more directly engaged on that decision making, and obviously hope to have more pools this time. I know you guys, you all worked really, really hard to make sure they're equally distributed throughout the city, which doesn't always mean like that it's equal per district, but I still think that would be, for people who had been used to going to one pool for years and not having that opportunity, it still made a big difference. So.
Yes, Madam Chair, Councilwoman Ansari, we will certainly stay engaged with you in that process and make sure that we receive your input in that. Some of the things that we look at and will look at again was a pool open and closed this past summer? So some of those pools that were closed this past summer, we'd also like to see that those are pools to get open if for any reason we can't open all 29 again this year. We certainly look at other factors. We did do van to pool this year from some of the smaller pools in the Central City core to try to still give families and children an opportunity to go to the pools. At University in particular, we had, I'd say, 10 kids on a regular basis who we were vanning a couple days a week over to either Harmon or Encanto pools. It might have been Encanto. Actually, now that I say that, we tried at some other pools with less success, I would say, but that's always something we can look at again for any pools that are closed or may need to be closed to the next season.
Okay. Well, please let us know how we can support you. I think when it comes to recruitment, we're always getting outreach to our office, especially from high schools and community colleges about job opportunities. So we really want to help you there. I think, we're all definitely committed to making sure that all of the pools are open this year. So anything we can do, we're here to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work last year. I know it was a hard time to reopen things, and you were able to do those sorts of ban to pool, all that stuff. I know the bond's not finished, but I know there's a lot of changes and a lot of proposals there. One in particular would be to be able to have more pools where folks can train in different parts of the city or test in different parts of the city. So can you speak a little bit to, I know they're not tangible yet, but some of the things we want to get done to be able to do that better?
Sure, Madam Chair, Councilmember Garcia, members of the subcommittee, absolutely. And so one of the things that we're looking at that would be new, in addition to the ongoing training we do now in certain pools with heaters to train lifeguards throughout the year, is to also try to open up some pools for some swim lessons or opportunities where people can come and prepare for the swim certification in itself. So that's something new that we're looking forward to. But yes, so only certain pools have heaters. That's where we offer the certifications now. Looking to the future, we're certainly looking in the regional pool concept to have pools more in the Central City core where we could train lifeguards. As you know, East Lake Pool will be going under renovation. That will include a heater. That will be another location, not in terms of this summer, but we do that year-round to try to promote opportunities. Right now, they are in certain parts of town, and we're trying to change that by adding some more heaters to the pools.
Thank you, and same, you count on me for support on raising the wages or making sure we're competitive, and leave it to you all if an hourly increase or if this stipend worked. Just wanting to support being able to pay folks a good wage, but also making sure that our pools are open. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to follow up with that, I know that last year part of our challenge was not so much the lifeguards, but it was the supervisors. So what is our plan to address that? Like, how are we going to make sure that that we have enough supervisors this time?
Sure, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'm going to ask Becky to speak to the program that we did at the end of the summer where we were able to do some advanced preparation to prepare those individuals for being pool managers. One of the things also that was interesting about last year is overall, I think we were close to 85% of aquatics employees with 1 year or less of experience. So we certainly hit a point where we have, newer employees coming in that we're training, and Becky's doing some work to help address that.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, thank you. Yes, the Aquatic Academy that we hosted this summer was to really look at individuals that are ready to move up in the organization from a lifeguard position to an assistant manager position, and then therefore assistant managers moving up into the manager position. Many of our assistant managers this year, about 75% of them, were first-year assistant managers. Therefore, they don't have the experience behind them to move up quite yet. However, with that said, we really focused on the training throughout the summer to bring those newer assistant managers up to speed much faster than we have in the past. And so many of them are looking at promoting. I will say when it comes to the number of people or the people that are looking to promote, most importantly is running a pool facility. The pool manager is a facility manager. They are there to ensure the safety of the public. They're there to maintain that facility and ensure that everything is taken care of at that facility. That is the pool manager's job. To ensure the safety and some of the decision-makings, judgment calls that have to be made there takes maturity and experience to be able to do that. And so over the years that I've been involved in this program, which have been many, we have seen that people with less experience have more difficulties making those judgmental decisions and those critical decisions in a very high stress situation. And many of our pool facilities, they are high stress situations because we are talking about safety of the public. And so we take that into consideration as well. We do our best to train people to de-escalate situations, train them on the facility, train them on the different things and responsibilities that they have. But when it comes down to it, we really need people running our facilities that can make those judgment calls that have the maturity that they need. So we, as the aquatics team, will continue to train, and through our Aquatic Academy, it was pretty successful this year with 17 individuals that are really interested in moving forward and taking that next step to become an assistant manager.
Well, that's exciting. Well, thank you so much for that work. I know that's something that you've been working on diligently, so thank you so much for that. And then as well, are we tapping into our PAC workers at the end of the year, and are we talking to them now, and what could we do to maybe teach them how to swim if that's something that they're interested in? Is there a plan around that?
Sure, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, yes, we do. We have historically had employees from PAC and just the recreation site in general who have switched from being a rec employee for part of the year to an aquatics employee. It's not an easy process currently, and so that's something as one of our longer term goals that we've started some communication with the Human Resources Department about. How could we potentially create a position that's year-round that marries the two, if you will? Excuse me, so that if I'm a recreation leader working in a PAC program and in the summer I can go work a lifeguard or position or a pool manager position if I qualify. Right now there's different wages for both of those positions, and so they actually have to come out of one position and be onboarded into the other. So it is a little complicated, and we're looking at ways to make that easier to have that seamless position.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely different positions. I think Parks is very unique in that sense that there's a lot of different positions that can be all in one depending the time of year that we're in. So I would like to see us, moving into that and seeing how we can create different classifications within one position. And of course, willing to support you guys in terms of making sure that we are number one when it comes to pay. I think that we will continue to lose people if we don't do that. And I know that I sound like a broken record, but I definitely agree that we need to be able to get to that 1722 and then that 2211 for the supervisors if we want to retain people. It's a change that I think as a city it's been way overdue, and now we're feeling the burden. We're feeling it in Public Works. Here we're feeling it where we had almost 3,500 people waiting to come in and get swim lessons. So I definitely, we definitely see that there is a need, and we need to figure it out. And I'm very hopeful that you guys will do that. And I just want to thank you guys for all of your hard work. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair, if I can, members of the subcommittee, I did want to quickly say that I attended the National Parks Conference a few weeks ago. We had over 7,000 professionals from across the country, Parks and Recreation professionals, and many local and many out of state had heard about our $2,500 stipend and what they did, and I received a lot of grief for it, but that is what kind of incentivized them to also look at wages for theirs, and so I thank you for your support, and we're looking forward to working with you to continue on this effort.
Well, thank you, Becky. Thank you, team. Thank you, Cynthia, for all of your hard work. And with that, we're now going to move to item 10. And per staff request and the memo submitted by Director Aguilar, I would like to make a motion to withdraw this item from the agenda.
Second.
Anyone opposed to this? Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So we will come back with this at a later date. Thank you. And with that, I would like to see if there's any more call to the public. No? And okay, so no call to the public. And now for future agenda items, I had a few, but do any of my colleagues have any agenda items? Councilwoman, I'm sorry.
Sure. I have a couple of things. I'm not sure if they should be together or separate, but two pieces that I think could maybe come together are discussion around chilled water at our water fountains across city parks, which I've had a couple meetings with different departments about and want to see some movement forward there, and then public bathroom access as well. And then separately, and I'm thinking December would be good for these, I'm hoping to get an update on would like the subcommittee to get an update on the new shelter we're working on in District 7 at 35th Avenue and Lower Buckeye. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So what I would like to request that we have an update on recruitment, hiring, wages, and retention from the following departments: Public Works related to solid waste equipment operators, Parks and Recreation related to the Phoenix After School Centers and the upcoming 2023 Lifeguards positions, and Human Services related to Head Start caseworkers positions. If we can get an update on that, that would be great. And with that, if that is the last item and no one else has any more comments, I want to thank my fellow committee members and all of our city staff and the members of the public who participated in today's meeting, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.